How was it? Stories about famous people who changed the world. Salvador Dalí, the eccentric genius who turned dreams into reality. Salvador Dalí was not just an artist. He was a spectacle, a showman, a man who believed that life itself should be a piece of surreal art. Born on May 11th, 1904, in the small town of Figueres in Spain, Dalí grew up convinced that he was destined for greatness, and strangely, his parents agreed. They told him he was the reincarnation of his older brother, who died before he was born. Dalí believed this for the rest of his life, and it shaped his personality in extraordinary ways. From childhood, he showed talent and obsession. At the age of 10, he could paint like an adult. At 16, he already had his first public exhibition. But Dalí didn't want to just paint the world. He wanted to reinvent art. He wanted to bring the impossible to life. One of the most curious facts, Dalí had a deep fascination with science, especially physics and mathematics. His iconic melting clocks in The Persistence of Memory were inspired by Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, the idea that time is not fixed. Those soft clocks are not just surreal visuals. They're Dalí's way of showing that time is fluid, subjective, and fragile. Dalí was also obsessed with dreams, the subconscious, and psychoanalysis. He admired Sigmund Freud, and when he finally met him in 1938, Dalí said he felt like he was meeting his God. Freud was impressed as well. He said Dalí had the most perfect paranoiac mind he had ever seen. Dalí's life was full of eccentric habits. He walked around Paris with an anteater on a leash. He attended parties wearing a diving suit, claiming it helped him enter the depths of his imagination, and he curled his iconic mustache into long upward spikes, sometimes using fish oil to shape it. But behind the theatrics was a man of enormous discipline. Dalí worked constantly, painting more than 1,500 artworks and exploring sculpture, film, photography, jewelry, and even architecture. He collaborated with Walt Disney on a short animated film called Destino, which was started in 1945 but completed only decades later. A key and constant figure in his life was Gala, his muse, lover, and manager. She protected him, inspired him, and sometimes controlled him. But Dalí believed he owed much of his success to her. He said, "I love Gala more than my mother, more than my father, and more than Picasso." Speaking of Picasso, Dalí admired him, but also loved provoking him. When someone asked who was the greatest living painter, Dalí said, "Picasso is the best, and I am the next best." But his relationship with the Surrealist movement was complicated. They admired his talent, but were frustrated by his political ambiguity and self-promotion. Eventually, they expelled him. Dalí responded in typical Dalí fashion, "I myself am Surrealism." Another fascinating fact, Dalí designed the Chupa Chups lollipop logo, the same one we see today. He created it in 1969, making it one of the most surprising and iconic corporate logos ever designed by a famous artist. As his fame grew, so did his eccentricity. He became a celebrity, appearing on American TV, creating bizarre performance art, and building the Dalí Theater Museum in Figueres, a magical, dreamlike place he considered his greatest masterpiece. He even arranged to be buried there. Dalí's later years were marked by illness, heartbreak after Gala's death, and declining health. But his creative spark never fully faded. When he died on January 23, 1989, the world lost not just a painter, but a legend, a man who erased the line between art and life. Salvador Dalí once said, "The difference between me and a madman is that I am not mad." And maybe that's true. Dalí wasn't crazy. He was deliberate, imaginative, disciplined, and brilliant. A visionary who dared to turn dreams into reality and made the world a stranger, brighter, and more fascinating place. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.